Right now in our Indiana, the IU men's soccer team tacked on another victory in what is shaping up to be an excellent season for the #1 ranked Hoosiers.
And the IU football team handled their business in the debut start of redshirt freshman quarterback Peyton Ramsey.
All that and more coming up on this October 11th edition of Our Indiana. Hello and welcome to Our Indiana. I'm Spencer Davis.
And I'm Dan Black.
The IU men's soccer team moved to 10-0-2 following this weekend's road win at Penn State. The Hoosiers held Penn State scoreless Saturday as they defeated the Nittany Lions 1-0 and set a program record with their 6th consecutive shutout. Freshman goalkeeper Trey Muse made 3 saves in IU's NCAA-leading 10th shutout of the season, and redshirt freshman Spencer Glass's first collegiate goal was enough to give the Hoosiers the victory. IU remains undefeated following the team's first 12 games, a feat that the school has not accomplished since 1997. And the 2 goals that the Hoosiers have surrendered this year are the fewest that an IU team has allowed through the first 12 matches of a season since the 1979 Hoosiers let up 2 goals in 14 games.
Indiana men's golf looked to bounce back this past weekend against Northwestern in Evanston after a 14th place finish at the Fighting Illini Invitational in September. And the Hoosiers did bounce back as the team finished 1 under par, good for a 3rd place finish. That was the best finish the Hoosiers have had since April 2nd when they finished 2nd at the Hoosier Invitational. IU senior Brendan Doyle brought home some personal accolades, claiming co-medalist honors after finishing with a career-best 65 in the final round. The Hoosiers will be back on the links this weekend in Carmel for the Crooked Stick Invitational.
The IU volleyball team failed to pick up its first Big Ten win of the year this weekend, dropping matches on the road at Northwestern and Illinois. The Hoosiers may have gotten a bit of a confidence boost, however, winning sets in each match after being swept in each of their first 4 conference matches. Freshman Cameron Malloy led IU in the kill department, contributing 14 kills against Northwestern and 15 against Illinois. But Northwestern's Simone Abbott had a career day against the Hoosiers, racking up 29 kills. IU is now 11-7 overall this season and 0-6 in Big Ten matches.
After dropping 3 straight games, the IU women's soccer team looked to get back in the win column Sunday afternoon at Wisconsin. The game was back and forth the whole time, with both teams getting shots on goal, but would end regulation with nothing to show on the scoreboard. The battle had to continue to overtime, where the Badgers held a 5-1 shot advantage over the Hoosiers, but the game was kept scoreless thanks to freshman goalie Bethany Kopel making save after save to keep the Hoosiers in it. The contest went to a second overtime, but the game would end as it started, tied at 0. The Hoosiers will look to get their 2nd Big Ten win when they host Iowa at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday night.
The IU women's golf team spent its weekend in Lexington, Kentucky, competing in the Betty Lou Evans Invitational. The Hoosiers came in 7th place overall in the 16-team field, which was led by Notre Dame. However, for IU, freshman Mary Parsons made a mark on the tournament, recording the lowest round score of any of the 128 golfers that competed. Parsons shot a 66 in the 3rd round, which was also good enough to set a new IU single-round score record. The Hoosiers will have a few weeks off before its next tournament, the Ladies Fall Intercollegiate Invitational, which will be hosted by Louisville and will begin on October 27th.
In field hockey news, the Hoosiers began this past weekend in Evanston to take on number 10 Northwestern. The Wildcats came out of the gates hot when Sar DeBry scored off of a rebound in the 13th minute. Northwestern would score again with just a minute left in the first half as Lily Gandhi found the back of the net for her first goal of the season. 25 minutes into the second half, the Wildcats ballooned their lead to 3 when Elena Curley scored off an assist by Pascal Macy. Claire Woods put the Hoosiers on the board in the 64th minute off a corner deflection assist by Kelsey Geis to trim the lead to 2. Pascal Massey put the nail in the coffin for the Wildcats with an empty netter as she scored her 6th goal of the year. The 4-1 loss was their 5th straight and their final road game during a 5-game stretch. After those 5 straight road games and 5 straight losses, the team looked to bounce back Sunday at home versus Ohio. Indiana struck first 11 minutes into the game when junior midfielder Taylor Swope scored off a rebound, giving the Hoosiers the 1-0 lead. The Bobcats tied it up in the 20th minute as junior Kendall Ballard flicked the ball in the top right of the net past goalie Katie Johnson. Just moments later, in the 23rd minute, Claire Woods put Indiana back on top off of a straight shot from the left corner. In the 28th minute, IU opened their lead to 2 as Sierra Girard scored on a penalty stroke for her 6th goal of the season. In the waning moments, Ohio's Maria Russell scored off a rebound, but it would not matter as the Hoosiers took the 3-2 victory. The Hoosiers will look to notch another win Thursday afternoon when they host the Michigan Wolverines. It's been an exciting first month for IU athletics with fantastic plays all around. Our Indiana's Tommy Poore joins us to break down some of his top plays. This is Top Plays with Tommy.
Thanks, guys. It's been a great start for Hoosier sports so far this year. The Hoosier student athletes have gone above and beyond in their field of play, and in particular, some plays have been better than the rest. Here are the top plays for September. Let's start with women's soccer as Michaela Brown shifts her way to the middle and delivers a perfect pass to Chandra Davison for the finish. To men's football, Georgia Southern punting the ball to Jay-Sean Harris, the Hoosiers special teams wizard. Doing what he does best, he sneaks by a couple GSU defenders as he gallops his way back to the crib for a 70-yard touchdown. More to come later from this game. To the big soccer showdown a couple weeks back against Notre Dame, Spencer Glass crosses the ball to Austin Poncho as he finishes off the only goal of the game. Taking another look, Glass's dime ball zips its way through 4 Irish defenders before reaching its destination Poncho. Hoosiers with the big win that night 1-0. Back to the Georgia Southern game, Morgan Ellison would not be denied a touchdown as he runs over a defender as he stumbles into the end zone. To the Ohio State football opener, Richard Lego throws the ball in a tight window, hitting Ian Thomas as he barely drags his foot inbounds for the score. Back to the pitch, Andrew Gutman makes a great first touch, passes it to Thomas War for a quick 1-2 as he finishes the goal in the back of the net. Back to the OSU game, Richard Lego in shotgun formation finds Simi Cobbs in the back shoulder route with a spectacular one-handed snag. Cobbs would finish off the drive with another great catch. As the Buckeyes corner is holding him down, Cobbs still finds a way to catch the ball over him. The Hoosiers would go on to lose that game. September was filled with some great plays, but I'll be back next month as we see if the Hoosier student athletes can find a way to top their stellar start. Let's head back to the desk with Dan and Spencer.
Thanks, Tommy. Coming up next in our Indiana, we'll recap this past Saturday's football game where IU shut out Charleston Southern.
After that, Joe Canter sits down with IDS football beat reporter Cameron Drummond and Hoosier Huddle's David Sugarman to review this week's matchup against the Michigan Wolverines.
All that and more coming up on Our Indiana after the break.
I wouldn't be here if it weren't for Indiana University.
Welcome back to Our Indiana.
The IU football team has a huge game this upcoming weekend against number 17 Michigan. But last weekend, though, the Hoosiers faced FCS opponent Charleston Southern and won 27-0. Our Indiana's Joe Canter has more.
The story coming into Saturday's game for most Hoosier fans wasn't how IU would perform against Charleston Southern, but rather how Peyton Ramsey would adjust to being named the starting quarterback. Ramsey became the first freshman quarterback at IU to throw for over 300 yards since 2006. Ramsey also led the team in rushing, recording over 50 yards and an additional score on the ground. His favorite target in this game was wide receiver Taysir Mack. The freshman connection was good all night long as Mack caught 7 balls from Ramsey, recording 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Hoosiers also played several key freshmen on defense, and that defense held Charleston Southern scoreless, the first team shutout since 1993. Not only did they not allow a point, they didn't allow the Bucks to complete a single pass, and they held them to just 134 total yards.
Anytime you shut somebody out, I don't care who they are, collegiately, it's not easy to do. It's our first one since '93, and that's a big deal. So I'm really proud of our guys. We played a lot of different guys, had a lot of guys out. And so for them to be able to execute against a challenging offense, that was a positive for sure.
The Hoosiers will look to build on the confidence of the Charleston Southern game when they host number 7 Michigan at Memorial Stadium on Saturday. Reporting for our Indiana, I'm Joe Canter.
Thanks, Joe. You know what, Dan? It's going to be really interesting to see Peyton Ramsey get his first true test at starting quarterback against Michigan this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge matchup because Michigan's such a high-powered high-powered defense for him to face, not really having a ton of experience. So it'll be interesting to see. With more insight on what the Hoosier fans can expect to see during Saturday's matchup, our Indiana's Joe Canter chats with Indiana Daily student football beat reporter Cameron Drummond and Hoosier Huddle's David Sugarman on this edition of Cream vs. Crimson.
Thanks, guys. IU football has a big game this Saturday, homecoming against the number 17 ranked Wolverines of Michigan. I'm joined today by a couple true football guys and IU football insiders, the Hoosier Huddle's David Sugarman and Cameron Drummond of the IDS. David, I'm going to give the first question to you. What would a win against a big-time program like Michigan mean for IU's football program?
Well, Joe, it has the opportunity to be that breakthrough win that Tom Allen has talked about really since he took over for Kevin Wilson. I mean, this one has the opportunity. I mean, they haven't beaten Michigan since 1987. They haven't beaten Michigan since 1987. It has the opportunity to be a breakthrough win. Peyton Ramsey's first start against a Big Ten team would be Tom Allen's first Big Ten win. So for a lot of different reasons, this has the opportunity to be that quote-unquote breakthrough win.
Well, David, let me jump in there for a second because the whole point of this season for Tom Allen is not to have a breakthrough win, but to have a breakthrough season. That means beating the teams like Illinois, Purdue, Maryland, the team that IU has the talent level to beat but hasn't beaten in recent years. And so that's the more important focus of the season, not necessarily one game on homecoming against Michigan, but for the season as a whole. But granted, this game against Michigan is a big stepping point towards getting to 7-8 wins in a bowl game at the end of the year.
You know, you make a point, and I think Indiana has gone with that philosophy, sort of that cheesy coach's philosophy of, it's the most important game because it's the one this week. Having said that, even if they beat Michigan, even if they were to drop one of those late season games, it would still go a long way in furthering Peyton Ramsey's career and Tom Allen's career, I think.
All right, let's dive deeper into the schematics of this one. What does IU's offense need to do to put up points against the number 1 team in the country in terms of total defense? Cameron, I want to hear your thoughts on this one.
So IU knows that Peyton Ramsey isn't Richard Lego. He doesn't have a cannon for an arm. He's not going to blast the ball 50 yards downfield. But what he can do is be accurate with the football. And what he can do with that accuracy is distribute the ball to IU's playmakers. Simi Cobbs Jr., Morgan Ellison, Luke Timian, Taysir Mack from last weekend. If Ramsey can get the ball to those playmakers in the open field, IU has the chance to move the football consistently on offense.
David, is that how you see it? Get the ball in the hands of the playmakers and just watch them go? That's the key for IU?
Well, absolutely. You want to get the ball in the hands of your playmakers every week. That's not really a secret. But I think for Indiana, they've got to find a way to hold on to the football. It sounds elementary, but they have the worst turnover margin in the Big Ten. They've fumbled the ball 10 times. It's not as if they can bench one running back. They've had 7 different players fumble the ball at least once. They've been pretty fortunate. 2 of their fumbles they've recovered for in the end zone for touchdowns the last couple of weeks. But they lost the turnover battle against Charleston Southern, I think 4-0. If they can't force any turnovers, and particularly offensively, if they're going to turn it over that much, the score could be 27-0 again, but it's going to be flipped around.
All right, Cameron, you mentioned Richard Lego and Peyton Ramsey. Any chance fans see Richard Lego on the field this Saturday if Ramsey struggles in a game that stays close?
No, I don't think there's any chance. The rabbit's out of the hat with IU. Richard Lego has been benched. It's Peyton Ramsey's team now, and barring some kind of severe injury to Ramsey, I think it's his chance to either take the opportunity or let it go by the wayside.
All right, so Cameron thinks no Richard Lego on Saturday. David, is that how you see it?
Yeah, Cameron, I agree 100% on this one. I mean, simply put, Peyton Ramsey was named the starter, and I think some struggles are expected. It's his first start against a Big Ten team, so it's the first time a Big Ten coach has had a whole week to put all of his focus and energy on Peyton Ramsey and what he does well and what he does poorly. So some struggles and a learning curve is expected, and if Peyton Ramsey struggles, I think, and he gets pulled, it just sends the 100% wrong message to the program, because Peyton Ramsey is not just the future of the Michigan game. It's not just the future of this season. He's really the future of the program. He's only a redshirt freshman, and they're really putting all their eggs in that basket. So to pull him after, if he struggles, which I think he will to a certain degree, it just sends the wrong message to Ramsey and the rest of the football program.
All right, well, I can't let you guys get out of here without giving me a prediction for Saturday's game. So give me a final score, who wins, and why for IU against Michigan on Saturday. Cameron, give me yours first.
So I don't think it'll be quite with the adverse weather conditions that last year's game had, where it was snowing and the entire second half was a blizzard in Ann Arbor. But I think in the given good weather conditions, both teams will be able to find success moving the football. I see a close game, a relatively high-scoring game. I'll take Michigan 24-21.
David, I know you see it being exactly like last year's game. What's your score and who wins?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with an identical score to last year's game, 20-10. I disagree with Cameron a little bit. I think these teams are going to struggle moving the ball, partially because they're good defenses and partially because both teams are struggling offensively. You got new quarterbacks, and they're 14th and 13th, respectively, in the Big Ten. In terms of turnover margin. So I think it's not going to be a particularly well-played game offensively. I think Peyton Ramsey's going to learn what it's really like to play in the Big Ten. I'm not a big believer in John O'Corn and what his skill set for Michigan. I think really the big difference is going to be the turnover battle. And I have no reason to believe right now that Indiana can win that. They've only won it once so far this year. And with all due respect, it was against Georgia Southern. So I think Indiana's going to stay competitive, but they'll lose 20-10.
All right, well, that's all we have for you guys this week on Cream v. Crimson. Tom Allen's Hoosiers will look for a breakthrough win on Saturday against number 17 Michigan. For Cameron Drummond and David Sugarman, I'm Joe Canter, and back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, guys. Before we sign off here, it's time for us to fast forward and take a look at the week ahead for IU Athletics. Mackenzie Salmon joins us with more.
Thanks, guys. It's homecoming week for IU with great matchups, so let's get started. This Saturday, the IU football team will face off against number 17 Michigan to end homecoming week with a kickoff starting at noon on ABC. This will be Indiana's third appearance this season of the ESPN family of networks, and the Hoosiers are currently 3-2 in the season and 0-2 in conference. As for men's soccer, the number 1 team will be back in Big Ten action on Sunday as they face off against the Ohio State Buckeyes. The game will take place at Bill Armstrong Stadium at 3 p.m. But moving on to women's sports, the field hockey team is getting ready for a packed Big Ten schedule as they host number 4 Michigan on Friday. The Wolverines are currently unbeaten in Big Ten and the highest-ranked team in the conference. However, the Hoosiers upset the Wolverines last year in a 1-0 win at Alker Field. Soon after, Michigan State will visit the IU Field Hockey Complex with the first AM start of the season for the Hoosiers, beginning at 11:50 a.m. This game will be significant for the Hoosiers as the last 3 games against the Spartans have been decided by 1 goal and assist. Coach Becky Stiles will meet her alma mater for the first time in her coaching career as well. As for women's soccer, the Lady Hoosiers will play host as they return to face Iowa on Thursday, followed by a noon game against Nebraska on Sunday. But that's all I have for you guys this week, and of course, if you missed any of the action, you can always find it on iuhoosiers.com. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Well, that does it for this episode of Our Indiana. I'm Spencer Davis.
And I'm Dan Black. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.